Thank you. So welcome, everyone. This is the Consensusism Study Group, where we meet every Thursday to discuss the philosophy and the ideology that is necessary for Africa to totally liberate itself, totally be unified, and to be totally developed, so that the resources of Africa will be used towards the supreme law being the welfare of Africans. So thank you. We will read the book and then we will discuss, and we take those in turn. And we are keen that everyone shares their thinking rather than their views or their feelings. We focus more on the thought processes that go into how we consider things. So thank you. So the page we are on and the section we are on is on the screen. And we'll start with the reading. Brother Pigeon, you can read for us, and we'll take it from there.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Brother Kwame. And greetings to you, Sister Myra. So we'll be starting from the paragraph below, starting with the word "but now."
I see.
So can you move up a bit? Thank you.
I have.
But now, yes, but now, to the extent that idealism makes the existence of matter dependent on perception or on the possession of ideas by the mind, I am sure that it can be refuted. Of the normal sources of idealism, two can be discerned. On the one hand, idealism comes of solipsism, whether complete or incipient. On the other hand, it comes from some theory or other of perception.
Thank you. Let's discuss that, and then we'll move on to the next paragraph. The next paragraph, let's see. One a bit. It straddles the next. Okay. Yeah. So let's discuss that. So, Sister Myra, what do you think?
So I think here the author is trying to give an explanation of what are the consequences of idealism when it says on the one hand, idealism comes of solipsism. So I think it's trying to say what's the product of idealistic or the thought of idealism, I think.
Brother Kwame?
Yeah, sorry, Sister Marlene has called when I was responding to her. Has Sister Myra finished?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so just give me a moment. Let me respond to Sister Marlene and I'll get back. Yeah, Sister Marlene.
Okay, maybe.
Okay, Brother PJ will contact you and help you sort that out because the whole group has been closed. We've all moved, we've migrated, all those who wanted to are now in the new group. So maybe you did not migrate. Did you migrate? Why didn't you migrate? But the pigeon gave you a lot of chances to do that.
So
Sister Mara, sorry for the interruption. So you were
no, that's
saying, you're
fine.
thinking.
I was thinking, I thought that in this short paragraph, it's an introduction to the next one, the coming paragraph, and he's talking about the consequences of idealism or the philosophy of idealism. And then the first sentence, to the extent that idealism makes the existence of matter dependent on perception. Obviously, I think here he's refuting that. He's saying this, he doesn't agree with it, and it can easily be he can easily refute it, that it just doesn't make sense. It did make sense to him, I think.
Okay. Thank you very much for your thinking. Mr. Marlin, welcome. What you see on the screen is what we are discussing. It is the paragraph that begins with, let me just check, with, but now to the extent. That's where we are at. Sister Ida, I don't know whether you have read, but I'll come back to you. Let me hear from Brother Pigeon.
Thank you. Can you hear me, Brother Kami?
We can indeed. Thank you.
Yeah, from this paragraph, of course, I had to look for the meaning of the word solipsism, which is a new word here. And trying to look at it, I'll go the meaning first, that philosophically, it is a view or theory that the self is all that can be known to exist. Solipsism is an idealist thesis because only my mind exists entails only my mind exists. So going back to this, having read before in the paragraph preceding this, is that idealists actually do not take into consideration the existence of matter. And the normal meaning of solipsism is more of being selfish or being egocentric. In some aspect, the last word, if you read the case, for Berkeley, it was nothing but spirits and their knowledge. So these people tend to reduce spirits, which is more of materialism, to being part of idealism. Well, I think this would become a very clear difference between idealist and materialist. Because to idealists, they are more centric, egocentric or selfish in terms of even their thinking, that all is more of ideas, as this paragraph says. But to the materialists, maybe what I'll get is that they are opposite of this solipsism, which means they're opposite of this egocentric or centrism, and that to them, they consider either material, in the idealist, either ideas and spirits as being just part of the components of the universe. Of course, as you say, there are some who also think that spirit don't exist. But there's a position that spirits is just like a matter, it's just like anything within the matter systems, anything within the universe. But to idealists, they're trying to think that matter does not exist. So this is what I'm trying to read here, that Nkrumah says that to the extent that idealism makes the existence of matter dependent on perception, that matter is being more of a perception, which I believe ideas is more of the perceptions. That's what I get the contrary. Because I think that ideas is more of perceptions of mind, not matter actually. Because matter is anything, as we say, that can occupy space. So I am sure that, I repeat, I am sure that can be refuted. And of course, that's what I'm refuting from the paragraph. And it goes ahead to say that of the normal sources of idealism, two can be discerned. On one hand, idealism comes from solipsism, which is more of thinking of only, more of egocentric thinking, whether complete or internal. On the other hand, it comes from some theory or of perception. So personally, I believe that it is not matter that depends on perception, but it is ideas or idealism that depends on perception. So this is what I can read from this paragraph. That's my thinking.
Thank you very much for sharing your thinking. Now let's go to Sister Ida, please.
Sorry, I don't really have anything to say because I'm totally confused.
What is confusing you?
I don't understand it at all.
Okay, all right.
I know
So
it's a short paragraph, but I
yeah,
just don't really understand it at all.
so what you've heard so far hasn't helped.
Not really.
Okay. So hear some more and then come back. Yeah. Okay. Let's see if Sister Shireen has something to say. Sister Shireen, good to see your face for the first time.
I didn't even realize I was on camera. I'm gonna come back around because I've just joined
Come
on.
back.
I'm on the bus. Yeah,
No
and I
worry.
just need to literally, yeah, thank you,
Yeah,
Brother Tommy.
no worry. Sister Marlene.
I've just joined you, so I didn't even hear it read.
Okay, all right. So we'll come back to you as well. Brother Ras, same reason or you can share your thinking?
Yes, Father. Respect, Father.
Yes,
Same reason, same reason.
same reason. Okay. In that case, Brother Pigeon, can you read it again? Thank you.
Thank you. Let me do the reading again. What you're reading is from the paragraph that starts with the word "but now." So let me read it.
What page
But
is it on?
Marlene, this is on page
19.
Okay, thank you, Brother
19.
Okay.
So those who have the book, you can go to page 19 and read from there.
But now, to the extent that idealism makes the existence of matter dependent on perception or on the possession of ideas by the mind, I am sure that it can be refuted. Of the normal sources of idealism, two can be discerned. On the one hand, idealism comes from solipsism, whether complete or incipient. On the other, it comes from some theory or other of perception. Nowadays, I'm trying to read very slow. Hope everybody could follow up.
Yes, you're doing very well. When we first met you, you were on the motorway, up speed. Thank you very much. So, okay, so let me contribute and then see if that helps others as well. So we've heard from Brother Pigeon, we've heard from Sister Myra. So let's all understand what it is we are dealing with. Yeah. So we are looking at philosophy in retrospect, meaning we are looking back to look at the legacy of philosophy that we have with us. And let's also bear in mind that the only philosophy there is really, although they won't say so, is African philosophy. That has been adopted and changed here and there, but really, all Western philosophy comes from African philosophy. So let's bear that in mind as well. And what are the two philosophical positions? We've come across that over and over again. The first is that, well, the question is, what is the universe made of? And we know there are two diametrically opposed positions. The first position says that the only thing in the universe are spirits and their ideas. Nothing else exists. Although that's the hardcore position. And then the other extreme says the universe is made up of matter. And by matter, we mean hydrogen, oxygen, and things like that. So those are the two different reasons or explanations for the universe. Now, this so then if that is the case, then we ask if you see if those who think that the universe is made up of ideas or spirits and their ideas, then what they are saying is that the primary reality is spirits and their ideas. That's what they are saying. And that if there is matter, matter is secondary. That's what they are saying. On the other hand, those who say that the universe is matter are also saying that, contrary to what the idealists are saying, the universe is made up of matter. So the primary reality is matter. And out of matter comes everything else. So if that is the case, it means that matter has no independent existence. The existence of matter must be because of spirits and their ideas. The question is that correct? Is the idealist position correct? What do we think? Because that question is what this paragraph is beginning to deal with and come to a conclusion and show why the idealist position is not correct. And that's what Nkrumah here means, that I am sure it can be refuted. That's what he means by now, to the extent that idealism makes the existence of matter dependent on perception. Because that is what they are saying. They are saying that. So what they are saying is that the only thing that exists is the mind, or me. You know, how do I know pigeon exists? How do I know that Ida exists? How do I know Mara exists? Am I sure that Mara exists? You know, am I sure it's not just my mind playing tricks on me? In fact, am I even sure I'm not sleeping somewhere and just dreaming all this up? That I'm in a state of dream. I'm just dreaming this. There's no real class going on. There's no laptop on which I am on. I'm not wearing any real actual headphone. Those are just spirits. They are just items in the spirit realm. In the same way in which when you dream, you see real things. You see roads, cars, houses. But they are just dreams. Hello? They are just dreams. They are not real. So you think these things are real, but they are not. The only thing that is real, that you can be sure is real, is yourself. In fact, if we put your brain, if we remove your brain from your body and we put it in a machine,
You're frozen.
Although Kwame can't hear you.
thinking the same thought that Kwame is thinking right now, but it is in a
Brother Pigeon, are you?
I'm here. It seems Brother
You
Kwame
keep
is having some
freezing,
problem.
Brother Kwame.
Yeah, it may have come from me, but it's okay now. Yeah.
So can you reshare the book?
Hold on, let me change the internet I'm using.
Okay. Let me check also if I can make you host, because I think it transferred the host to me. Oh, you're still the host, so no problem.
Yeah, I changed the internet I was using. Sorry about that. So now let me share the book. Let me share the book now. Right. Can you all see the screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So yeah, so I was explaining that idealism basically is saying that ideas and the spirit and the ideas are primary, and that the matter is secondary. And materialism says that is the other way around. Matter is primary, and that spirits and their ideas are secondary. And the position of conscientism is that the idealist position can be refuted. And it can be refuted, and the book is beginning to show how it can be refuted. And let me just read what it says. So it says it can be refuted on two grounds. So then it starts with solipsism. Now, what is solipsism? Solipsism is basically the idea that I can only ascertain my own existence. Yeah, I can never know that pigeon really exists or Ida really exists. All I can know is that I exist because I think and my brain is working. Because remember, I can see all these things in a dream, but they are not real. So the only thing that is real is the fact that my brain is thinking. That's the only thing that is real. Yeah, and that is solipsism, in effect. The idea that which exists is you alone. Now, there are two types of solipsism. There is the incipient and there is a complete. In the same way as idealists, if you like, are of two types, basically. There are the idealists who believe that spirits and ideas make up the universe, but they believe matter exists. Yeah, they believe matter exists, but they are just saying that it's secondary. And then there are hardcore idealists who say that actually matter does not exist because matter is unconscious spirit. And that is it. And if you look at the materialists, again, they're of two types. There are the type that say that we accept that spirits and ideas exist. And then we have the hardcore materialists who say that there's no such thing as spirit. What you are calling spirit is just a form of matter. So in the same way, when you look at solipsism, there are two types. There are those who are complete solipsists. They don't believe that anybody else exists apart from themselves. And then there are the incipient ones who accept the existence of other people. The next paragraph then looks at what complete solipsism is. So it kind of defines it for us. Let me pause there and ask if that is clear so far.
Yes, but could you repeat? There are two types of solipsisms.
Solipsism, yeah. There is the incipient. So if we look at what the paragraph is saying, there is the incipient. So the incipient is like halfway, not complete. Yeah, it is a bit of it. In other words, and then we have the complete one, which is like the hardcore solipsists. So the hardcore solipsist says that the only thing that exists is me. It's not quite selfishness, because selfishness is to say that everything must come to me. It's a form of selfishness, but selfishness selfishness we will say comes from solipsism, comes from complete solipsism. Because if nothing else exists except me, then it means that nothing else exists. Okay? That means I'm selfish. Yeah. So yeah. So Nkrumah is saying that there are two theories or two sources of idealism. The first source is solipsism, which has two types: complete and incipient. That's one source of idealism. The second source is the theory of perception, and perception meaning, if you want to just break it down, to be able to feel, to see things, to hear, to touch. That's all perception. But mainly, it is the fact that we can see, the sight. And so you can say that sight is a primary perception, if you like. Or you could say, well, how about hearing? Hearing, my ability to hear is a primary perception. Or someone say, well, my ability to touch is a primary perception because I'm blind. So because I'm blind, for me, it is being able to touch something. Well, that is my primary perception. Well, if the person is deaf, then you can't say the person's ears are the primary perception because the person is deaf. So then for that person, they can see or touch. That will be their primary perception. Whichever it is saying that is the other theory that is a theory of perception, and that idealism comes from there. So because I can touch, because I can see, because I can hear, therefore, because these things take place in my mind. Because remember, hearing, seeing, touching, all these things are interpreted by our brains, hence our minds. So all these things are happening in our mind. And because they're happening in our mind, that is why it is idealism. Because then you are saying that the only thing that exists is my mind. Aha. Sister, is that clearer?
Yes, thank you. Yep.
Brother Kwame.
Okay. Any questions before I continue?
Brother Kwame.
Yes.
I have a question. Can this thinking is what makes idealists be more of conservatives or liberals? Because they are thinking too much of themselves.
Precisely. That is why conservatives and liberals are more idealists. The conservatives are, some of them are the complete kind. They think they are the only people who exist. He or her, and maybe his or her family are the only thing that exists. Sometimes it's just even just him or her. Nobody else exists. So those who are politically conservatives and liberals are veering towards, yes, solipsism. Yes, that is correct. Any other questions before I point something out to all of us?
No, thank you for that confirmation. It seems my guess was right.
Yes, your guess was right. Any questions? And then I'll point something out to all of us. Any questions? Okay, no questions. Good. Can we all begin to notice a contradiction already? Yeah? I hope we've all beginning to notice that what the idealists are saying cannot be correct. Why?
I do have a question.
Think about it. Yeah, sorry, ask a question before I carry on. Go on.
I don't understand why we're hearing so much about idealism, but not so much about materialism. Because I think last week it was also about idealism.
Yes, because this chapter is looking at the legacy of idealism, and if you like, the havoc it has created. The whole colonial project, Sister Ida, the whole racism project has come from idealism.
Okay, thank you.
Idealism is a problem. Idealism is a problem. Idealism is a reason that people say there's a hierarchy in the universe. That is where it is coming from. And that's why we need to deal with it and refute it so that we can then create the basis for materialism. Does that make sense, Sister Ida?
It does if I knew more about materialism, because I'm only hearing about idealism. So now I feel I understand.
Yeah, it's fine. You need to understand idealism very well, and then once you understand it very well and why it can be refuted, then you will understand materialism better.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Hold on, sister Brother Pigeon. If you know rice very well, you can separate it from corn.
Yeah? Okay. I just didn't understand why we were just hearing about one thing. That's why I was asking.
Yes, that's fine. That's fine. It's that because you need to know what rice is. Otherwise, you confuse it with corn. That's what it's doing. Yeah. Yes. So yes, it's Brother Pigeon.
Yeah, I wanted to come in a bit to also inform Sister Ida that we are trying, of course, to discuss two things here, and two actually philosophical questions. And these philosophical questions are based either on idealism or materialism. And because I think Nkrumah prefer materialism, he wanted to extensively show and explain what idealism is all about. So that by the time he arrives at materialist position, you can be able to fully understand what is idealism. Because I think if you don't know the other side of what is wrong, you cannot know what is right. So first of all, you start by actually how wrong looks like, or how you think the other side looks like. Then now you can be able to move this side. So now when you move to materialism, you'll fully appreciate it without asking how idealism looks like. And I think that's how Nkrumah has organized this. And because we read almost 2 paragraphs only per session, can make us read idealism for so long. Just the same way we were discussing empiricism and rationalism. So I think it's a consistency of time, but we'll reach at materialism once we are able to understand idealism very well as per the readings, because we cannot jump the readings. Then from when we read materialism, we can be able to actually get the clear difference and appreciate that position. That's what I want to say.
Thank you very much. Sister Shirel, I notice your hand is up. But before you come in, let me point something out to all of us. Have we all begun to realize the problem with idealism already? If you haven't, let me make it clear to you. Don't you see that your brain is inside your body? I mean, isn't your mind the unseen part of your brain, if you like? But isn't your brain inside your physical body, your material body? So if your brain is inside your body, how can your body depend on your brain? That is philosophical nonsense. I'll repeat. If your brain is inside your body and your brain can function, therefore your mind can function because your body is functioning. And because your body is functioning, that means you're not dead, your brain is functioning, then you can think. And therefore you can think and then you can have a mind. So how is it possible that your body can depend for its existence on the brain when the brain only exists because of the body in the first place? That is philosophical nonsense. So I hope you are beginning to see the contradictions in idealism. You know, you can begin to see why it is, to use the term, philosophical nonsense. Yeah. Okay, let me pause there. Sister Shiro, can you come in now?
Yeah, I'm on the bus, so I'm going to keep it quite low.
But you had your hand up, so I thought you wanted to speak.
No, I did, but I was
okay, good.
Not on the bus at that moment. I am now.
Okay.
I was going to say, would you say that the continuation of miseducation continues? Materialism is actually idealism in some.
Sorry, can you repeat the question? Can we say that?
Can you hear me, or can you give me at least like 10 minutes and I'll come back on?
Just repeat the question. No, it's fine. Repeat the question.
No, I was basically saying that. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Okay. Hold on 1 second. I'll move. Sorry. 1 second. So, what I was saying is that because we've been constantly miseducated and we've been constantly, or should I say, ideas have constantly developed and evolved depending on where we are in each time period and frame. Materialism is often described as or confused as idealism. And I think that's where a lot of people are getting confused, because they normally say, like, in a materialist world, people only think about themselves, only think about possessions that will benefit them. If you're a materialist, you're a consumer. Do you understand what I mean? Whereas in the context that you're speaking of, from Nkrumahism, it's actually the opposite, where it's the idealism, the independent thought that is dangerous, because if one has a mind.
Yeah, Shireen, you see, you have, I think we've mentioned it before, you have put your, if you like, your thumb on the problem. The idealists who constitute the elites of the ruling class have cleverly confused the people, you see, and that is the point you are making, you know, that whereas it is idealism that is a problem, they've turned it around, and when ordinary people are talking, they make materialism look bad. Materialism is a bad one. You know, you are too materialistic. That's what people, you're too materialistic. As if you can only be materialistic because you're a material being. So it's as if that is wrong. Whereas the problem is not matter. The problem is idealism, you know, and the ruling class want the owners of the wealth not to think about the wealth, because if they think about the wealth, then they'll realize that their wealth is being stolen by the ruling class. And so the ruling class, in order to keep the owners of the wealth, whether the owners are labor who create the wealth when they go to work, or whether they are the owners of the land, whether they are the owners of the diamonds, it doesn't matter what type of owner they are. You must make them not to think about the fact that they are owners of wealth. See, make it evil, make it bad. You see, in that way, our dominance is assured. You see, and that is how it is, and that is what you are alluding to.
And also
that miseducation is crucial for dominance. If you want to dominate, if you're a minority and you want to dominate, you must deceive those you are dominating. Otherwise, if they wake up, then you are finished.
Exactly. Yeah? And I think that's where a lot of us are getting confused. But the way that you've explained the ideal and matter realism, because it is materialism, isn't it?
Materialism,
if you know what I mean. Yeah, materialism. if I'm to be phonetically correct.
Yeah, you see, no, you are right. You see, and even the terminology itself, we're not used to the terminology itself. And even when we do, we use it, as you said, in the wrong way. So that is why people don't even realize that this is a whole philosophy, that materialism is a philosophy. And they don't realize that. And you see, the way in which it is used in such a way that in order to differentiate the ordinary use of the word materialism, that is why we describe it as philosophical materialism. That is why. So we are saying that what we are discussing is the philosophical type of materialism, not the materialism that ordinary people use ordinarily and discredit. That is not what we are talking about. We're not talking about being materialistic. We're not talking about the fact that you think you should own a house, have a car, have a lot of money, have enough children, make sure they are well fed. Of course, all that is materialistic, but isn't it? Isn't it, Sister Shireen? You shouldn't be doing that, you see. That is materialistic. Yeah.
Materialism,
why should you live and then all you think about is having a house, having a car, having nice, beautiful looking children, well fed, in good education? No, that is not good for you. That is materialistic.
Indeed, Brother Kwame. And also, and this is where the individualism or the materialism is individual. And if you understand, so I think you've explained it correctly.
Individualism that is actually the selfish one, but they make you look selfish if you are materialistic. They have confused the people. But we are here because we want to separate the corn from the chaff and get clarity so that we can know our own interests and we can know what it is that is in our interest. To understand that, to have beautiful children that are well fed and have good education, that sleep in good homes, is what is it. That is what it is. That is what we need. That is our welfare. It is not bad. It is not wrong to pursue those things. You see, so
thank you, Chair.
So in short, to summarize, and then you can come in, brother. So to summarize, we separate that philosophical question of what we are discussing, that is that materialism, from the way that is used ordinarily by the term philosophical materialism. Yeah, Brother Pigeon, you can come.
Thank you. I'll help in the sharing a bit as we move forward, so that I'll help you, Brother Kwame. So, of course, as Matigari said, that the world is upside down. We must set it right. So I think we need to set it right by ensuring what is materialism and what is idealism. And I think materialism believe in abundance for all. Idealists think that it's only abundant for them, not for all. And that's why they'll struggle to be only either liberal or conservative. But to the materialists, they believe that everything is abundant for all, and that we must all live equal or same life or enjoy the welfare to be same. Not that we are so poor, others are so rich, and others think of themselves. So generally, that's why I say that materialist position is more of for all. It doesn't have that either selfishness or this solipsism that idealists try to bring in, and not only in terms of not in terms of philosophy, but even in terms of practice. It's not that we need material for ourselves or we need the material gain for ourselves, but rather that material gain must be accessible for everybody, not that for a specific group of people who feel that everything is going to end and they must amass everything and every wealth and ensure that they are so rich than anybody else. That's not progressive enough. And that's the third category of students we'll be talking. So I think that
to help our listeners, or to help those we are talking to, then we need to stress to them that the materialism we are talking about is philosophical material, not the kind that they have heard about. That's the difference here.
Thank you very much for that. Let me go around a bit, having explained. Let me see if the members here want to share their thinking now, because you've extensively tried to explain this. Is there anybody who has anything they need? But I'll go around because we need to share thinking. So let me go to Brother Ras Pala. Having heard what Brother Kwame has said and what other members here have contributed to, what briefly or maybe extensively will be your thinking in regards to that paragraph?
Yes, General. Yes, General. No, man. I don't have any sharing for now, man. I prefer listening for now.
You have disappeared for some time, but welcome. We will give you time to catch up because you haven't been here for almost 1 or 2 months. So you're welcome.
My Lord, yes. That's the same reason why I prefer listening now. I've been gone for too long. Yes, brother.
Okay, thank you. Welcome back. Sister Marlin, are you having something you're catching to share with us in regards to this?
No, not at the moment.
Okay.
Well, not after all I've said.
Sorry, I missed what. So.
Okay. So we will then extend our reading so that maybe as we build up, you can be able now to share your thinking properly. So Sister Sherina has shared her thinking, Spala pass, Marlin pass.
Can I also add? Sorry, I just wanted to add something else.
Kindly add.
Okay. Sorry. So what we also have to understand about matter or materialism is that before this concept of westernized white supremacist money system, the white supremacist money system was introduced, we worked or we traded through barter. And the value of the exchange would always be well respected and in some ways or other balanced. So if, say, just like, say, for example, like a dowry for marriage, where the value of the wife or the value of the daughter is worth 10 cattle and whatever else, for example, that's kind of an exchange that would happen back then. We would trade with cowrie shells. Sometimes there was also trading where one would leave in an exchange, the other person would leave a bag, and the recipient wouldn't know what the value of or what was in it, but it would be a perceived value. Obviously, there's a lot more deeper aspects to this conversation. What I'm trying to say is that with over time, this system has really created a lot of injustice and a lot of imbalance, to the point where, because our mindset wasn't in that way, we were manipulated and we were taken full advantage of, and control of our own resources was stolen off of us because of that lack of idealism, because we didn't practice idealism.
You mean materialism? You mean we didn't practice philosophical materialism?
Possibly, because what I'm trying to say is that because before the colonizers came, our mind wasn't necessarily in that idealist state. We were more materialists, whereas it's kind of reversed, because the colonizers were the idealists. So they've now infiltrated our trading patterns, our thinking patterns, our psychology, and everything, and that's why we are so confused, and we are not united. Whereas with matter and materialism, there is a unified understanding of thought, Afrocentric thought, where it takes a village.
You see, Sister Shireen, that is why that is why you yourself must begin to choose your words carefully, because what you are saying is not
what
what
it sounds like
you
I'm
are saying.
Okay.
So
Okay.
this is
right.
where you have to develop new language yourself, and it's not just you. All of us have come from the idealists camp. That's why the miseducation you are talking about is a Western education we all got.
Yes, and that's what I'm trying to say within what I'm saying. So even though it may come across in a particular way, that's why I'm saying it, if that makes sense. But I'm not saying it to confuse.
It makes sense. Yeah,
okay,
it makes sense.
That's it.
But remember that butter is not an African thing. Butter trade, and before money came, before money was invented, the fact that people exchange tribes or nation exchange goods through barter is not only African. It was a human experience before the agricultural revolution. It's the agricultural revolution that changed all that. And the agricultural revolution, again, is a human experience. You see. So it is the invention of property. It's the invention of property that is what brought the problem. Because remember, property is everywhere. It's not just among the colonialists. In our own nationalities, we also have property. The land. Then you are given a part of it or whatever. So I'm just trying to say that barter is not a uniquely African thing. It's a human experience. And remember, our position is that there's only one human race. All the other groups called races are all just variations of the human being, and they all come from us. The black woman is the mother of all.
Indeed. Thank you, Brother Kwame.
Thank you for that. Sister Ida, you had something.
Oh, nothing. I know. I was saying I heard what Sister Shireen was saying, but then Brother Kwame brought it even further into. It was all before the agricultural revolution. So, yeah, and that
Thank
it was
you.
everyone.
Sister Myra has been silent a bit. Sister Myra, can you be able to help us read the following paragraph as we expand our thinking? Because many people have not been able to share their thinking, but I think as we move along, they can be able to build up on what you have been conversing about. So probably, Sister Myra, can you read for us the following paragraph starting from the word incomplete solipsism?
In complete solipsism, the individual is identified with the universe. the universe comes to consist of the individual and his experience. And when we seek to inquire a little of what this gigantic individual who feels the universe is compounded, we're confronted with diverse degrees of incoherence. In solipsism, the individual starts from a depressing skepticism about the existence of other people and other things. While in the grip of this pessimism, he pleasantly ignores the fact that his own body is part of the external world, that he sees and touches his own body in exactly the same sense that he sees and touches any other body. If other bodies are only portions of the individual's experience, then by the same magic, he must disincarnate himself. In this way, the individual's role as the center of solipsism, begins to wobble seriously. He is no longer the peg on which the universe hangs, the hub around which it revolves. Solipsism begins to shed its focal point for the universe. The individual begins to coalesce with his own experience. The individual as a subject, the sufferer and enjoyer of experience, melts away, and we're left with unattached experience.
Thank you for that. No. Brother Kwame, what you might be laughing at maybe getting, can you be able to reduce the screen a bit so that you can accommodate this paragraph and the next paragraph so that you can be able to read them at once in the screen.
As long as people can see, but that's it will be small.
They can zoom it in their phone.
As long as people are happy with that, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let me do that. So here we go.
Yes, that's complete. So I know I'll come back to you because having loved it was like this was an explanation of what you are trying to explain before. But to some, you may realize it might be connecting the dots. So let me go to Sister Shireen. Let me start with you. To build up on the conversation you are having before, how do you get to understand this following paragraph? Can you share your thinking, building up on the thinking you are having before? So, Sister Shireen.
Brother Pigeon, can you repeat the question, please?
I'm simply asking you, Sister Shireen,
yeah,
can you be able to share with us your thinking in regards to this paragraph? I know it's a build up of the previous paragraph.
I've just got into my house. Can I come back, please? Please.
Okay, thank you. We'll excuse you for that. Sister
Thank
Ida?
you. Thank you.
You are not able to share your thinking in the last paragraph that extensively, but now, based on what Brother Kwame shared and what we shared, and based on what you are reading in this paragraph, are you able now to build up some thinking?
I think it's because I've come across that solipsism word right at the beginning that it's thrown me a bit. Actually, I don't know that I'm here at all today. In that I hear it, and I've taken note of what Brother Kwame said. And I take note that there are two types of solipsism. But just
to remind Sister Ida, just to remind you, what you are doing is part of what the class needs. So you are thinking through what you are thinking, and so we are quiet because then to help you to then formulate your own thinking. And that's what this class is about. Because
yes,
these may be new words to some of us. And so we need to take time and put the thoughts together. And so this space is for that. And we are all supportive. And we will you on. And we will everyone on. So people should not think that they must already have rationalized and thought through everything already, ready to share before they share. It is in sharing sometimes that you develop also your thinking. What you are doing is a right thing. You are questioning the word solipsism, and that word is thrown off because it's not a word you are used to.
No, yes, and I'm even trying to
help you. Can I help you? If you look at the word,
I know you say it's interpreted by the mind or brain.
But let me help you even more.
Okay.
When we say somebody is solitary, you know what it means, don't you?
Yeah,
in solitary confinement. Can you see the word soli there as well? It's the same root.
Okay.
Solus, meaning to be alone. That's the Latin word. So that's where it's all come from. Solitary, solitude. All that means what? Being alone, isn't it? And that's what that word is. So when you see it that way, it will help, if you like, demystify it for you. It's it's actually, it's about solo, like somebody sings solo. It just means they're singing alone. It's the same root. And the Latin word is solus, S-O-L-U-S. And from that comes so many other words: solitary, solitude, solid, soliloquy. All those words simply means alone or by oneself.
Okay. Oh, that's a bit better because it was like, oh, what on earth? Okay, now I understand a bit better. Okay, so if in complete solitude, the individual is identified with the universe as maybe being very big, but not, without necessary form, or without necessary.
But you see, if you're alone and you are the only thing existing, does anything else exist?
Okay.
Does anything else exist if you are the only one existing?
But
if you are the only one existing, does anything else exist?
Why not?
Now I'm asking, if you are the only thing that exists, and if you believe you are the only thing that exists, does anybody else exist?
Maybe not people-wise, but other things will exist, I think.
And that's what solipsism is saying. That's why it's saying that in complete solipsism, the individual is identified with the universe because you are alone in this universe. There's nobody else, and that is what you believe it is. That's why it's saying it that way. So I'm helping you to formulate your thoughts, Sister Ida, whilst others are also listening. So then they can also formulate their thoughts.
So are you saying that if that is the case, it's just what it's saying that it's just what the individual thinks, his own experiences?
Yeah, because think of it. If you are alone, Sister Ida, and nobody else exists, that means. So look at the second line. If you alone exist, means you are the universe, isn't it?
Yeah, I expect so. Yes.
So there you can see why the second line comes about.
Okay.
Brother Kwame, I'm just a little, because I missed a little bit of that. So in us believing that we are.
So hold on. So Sister Myra read this paragraph, and Sister Ida is the first to share her thinking. So I was basically helping her to demystify the word solipsism, to say that it has the same root as being alone, being the only person, and so on. That the other words come from the same root, Latin root of solus, like the solar system, the system alone, or solitary, solitude, isolated. All that is about being alone. So I was just helping her to formulate her
Yes.
thought.
Is
I
it
was
Mentioning.
not
okay to be
thinking for her.
alone? That's what I'm
I was
saying.
not
Is it
thinking for
okay?
her. I was just helping her to formulate her thought. Yes.
But is it okay to be alone? Is it okay to be alone? Because obviously we want to be
Yeah, but
collective
is it
in what
true?
we're doing.
But is it true? That the question is it true? That's the question you ask yourself. Is it true that an individual can be the only existence?
Ah, okay.
To inquire a little. What?
Sister Ida?
So yeah,
Sister
okay. So
Ida?
it's saying that as
Sister, can you continue?
okay, so it's saying that if this individual is all on his own, everything is so a little what this gigantic, this big individual who feels the universe is compounded, is what he thinks of the universe, or person thinks of the universe, and then we're confronted with diverse degrees of incoherence because it doesn't make sense. It's just one person's.
Precisely. You've got it. You've got it, Steiner.
Okay.
You've got it.
Okay. So the individual starts, or could be so depressed in his solitude, um, about the existence of other people and other things. Or so maybe he's always seeking, or the person's always seeking, while in the grip of this another horrible word, pessimism. Is it pessimism? Pessimism. Um, Depression. Then I'd say. He pleasantly ignores the fact that his own body is part of the external world, and he sees and touches his own body in exactly the same senses that he sees and touches any other part of the world. If other bodies are only portions of the individual's experience, in other words, it's not necessarily something he comes across often, I think, or person comes across often, then by the same magic as when he comes across, or when he does use he, sorry, he must discriminate, disincarnate,
Disincarnate.
yeah. So he must separate himself, I think. Disincarnate. I think that means separate.
The word disincarnate means to come out of your body. It's like astral travel, if you like. Come out of your body, and the body no more exists. That means you are disincarnated. That's what it means.
Oh, okay. So by doing that, the individual's role becomes the center of the solar system, and begins to get warped. It wobbles seriously. It warps. His ideas are warped. He has nothing to hang his ideas on. So I think it's really saying that he struggles with being rational. He struggles with rationality. I think that's what it's saying. And begins to shed its focal point for the. So his solitude begins to shed its focal point for the universe. The individual begins to
coalesce means to be one, to combine.
Oh, okay. So I
coalesce
think
means to combine.
I've lost. Oh, okay. Here we go. With his own experience. So I think it's saying that the mind becomes so warped, it doesn't know reality from non-reality in a way, and is left unattached. Oh my! Sorry, the bottom bit of my screen is left unattached. Could you just lift the page up a bit?
For you.
Thank you.
Is that better?
And yes, that's better. Thank you. With unattached experience. So I think that there's no rational. There's nothing rational. Things sort of just change, and it's a bit like someone's unwell. I think that's what it's really saying. Well, that's the nicest way I can say it. I'm sorry. Well, I would like to say unhinged. I don't know what to say. Oh dear. Okay, that's the best I can make of it. Sorry.
No, it was good, Sister Ida. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for that,
It makes sense, does it? Thank you. Well,
no, it does. Thank
I'm
you.
feeling a bit unhinged after
that. Thank you so much, Sister Ida, for that. Indeed, Brother Kwame has held your hands along the way and finally ended up by laughing at your conclusion.
I think you summed it up very well. It makes me feel a bit unhinged.
Sister Malin. Sister Malin, how can you maybe push further the summation of Sister Ida?
No, I can't. Because there are words there that we don't really know and understand fully, and it's creating a bit of confusion or lack of understanding. I'm not sure what's the best word, so I'll just
whichever word you want, we can define it for you. So you can carry on as Sister Ida has done. That's fine. We can help you define the word.
Oh yeah, but still, it's just no. I'll just listen and take in what Ida said and leave it at that.
So that's a pass for you.
Again.
It's okay.
Hopefully
Sister Shireen, can you come in and help us a bit? Don't pass, please.
Oh, I can't cope.
Although you have a right to pass if you want.
Well, I don't know if I can do as well as Sister Ida did. But yeah, as Sister Ida says, it's on the
the guy's not well.
Well, they aren't well, are they? The idealists, they aren't well. And they've spread their anyway. Let me stop. Let me stop there. Let me answer the question. Okay. So I'm going off of what Sister Ida said about where is it?
Sister Shireen, are you able to locate it?
Idealist mentality. Yeah, and it causes a lot of depression, and it causes a lot of people to even isolate themselves. And I think it's evident in this that if I bring it to what did I say, Brother Kwame?
Because you are so spot on. You're so spot on.
Yeah. Thank you.
So spot on.
You know, we're so like consumed in consumerism and just sound bites that we're not actually meditating. You know, we're not holding counsel. We're not loving or even, and love is a verb, I know, but in terms of having empathy, even the empathy is worn out or is wearing off, and people are cancel people, do this, do that. But how are we going to win?
How can you have empathy when nobody else exists apart from you? There's no empathy.
Yeah.
Yes. You're the only existence. So nobody else exists. So how are you going to have empathy for anyone? And that was the second line the universe comes to consist of the individual and his, if we can add her, his or her experience.
Wow.
So we have people isolated in homes, and now you can see where the mental depression and so on is coming from. Sorry, let me pause because you are the one doing the thing. I was just trying to support you. So yeah.
No, it was as I was saying, Sister Ida, you know, I'm going off of what she said. But yeah, it is and that's why when we do go back to the motherland or we go back to places like even the Caribbean, South America, or anywhere that's green and that has life or that has nature, and we connect in that way, it realigns us back to being a part of something bigger than the individual. And that's why I think just us being consumed in concrete and us being in the Western well, because at the end of the day, you can be even on the continent or in places that have nature, but you know, influenced in a different way because of subjugation and being forced to or supplant a different culture supplanting their own thoughts into your mind, which has happened and stuff like that. So it's about as Shaka Zulu said, you know, it's about just taking away every single aspect of what isn't and coming back to the realism of what is. And that's another word as well, realism, because I think when you are idealist, you're not in a real state, are you? You're just in a constant daydream to some degree. And that's what is hindering our progress to some degree.
To say it politely, you are meditating.
Well, there we go. There we go. There we go.
Are you sure they're meditating?
That's illusion. And this is becoming more sweeter. Sister Shireen, do you have anything to add on before I call on
No,
Sister
thank
Mayra?
you. That's all. That's all I've got to add there. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, Sister Mayra. Brother Coco, you're welcome, and we appreciate your presence. We know you're taking your time off, but you're listening. So feel free anytime you think that you can come in, but we are glad to see you. I'm back also to see you, Brother Sparla. Thank you for coming back. Yes, Sister Mayra, kindly proceed.
So I haven't got much to add to what my comrades have already said very eloquently. Just that I think I think Kruma was elaborating on what solipsism is, and if the individual thinks of themselves as alone in the whole of the universe, and therefore anything else that exists outside of themselves is dependent on the individual's experience, that to me brings it back to the basis of racism and the othering in colonialism and neocolonialism, because if the individual decides that the experience of the other people is not real and it's only himself and his experiences that are valid, then that will make him dehumanize the other, which is what has been done to Africa. And then he then says that in the paragraph before, he said that this position can easily be refuted. So then in this paragraph here, he then says, while in the grip of this pessimism, he ignores the fact that his own body is part of the external world. So he the person, the solipsism affords itself the validity of, I am and the others are not. But even if the other person looks like them, and maybe they have this different skin color, they'll just disregard that. But then he goes on to say, but then at times it seems to say it's as if, what if this person, this solipsism then can also say, but I'm not even experiencing my own body? Well, then that means it comes down to just the experience. But then how can the experience exist without the body or the person? So that makes the whole thing not make sense. And I remember when I read this the first time, and I made a note in my book, and I thought, because I'm training to be a therapist, and I thought that if a client came into my office saying that they're not experiencing their body and they're just an experience, I thought I would just refer them on to a psychologist, because I would think maybe there was something wrong and that would be beyond my limits, which is ethically I'll be bound to get them the support that they need. But I would think there's a psychological problem here. So, yeah.
Thank you for that. Today is becoming more interesting. But let me put it also when I share my thinking in regards to how I can contextualize it. If you don't believe that there's anybody existing apart from yourself, then how did you come to be? Then you think that there's a gigantic somebody somewhere who made you be who you are. Then how do you survive in this universe? Because even those who think, those are liberals or conservatives who think that they are the only thing in this world, they actually use other people and they don't see them as people equal to them. They reduce them either to slaves or lesser beings, and that it is their responsibility for these lesser beings or these other people to serve them in order for them to attain what they want for life. So they feel like it's all about them. It starts with them and it ends with them. It doesn't move anywhere out. That's what we suffer even in our politics and even in our leadership in Africa. And not only that it is done by the whites, we still do it for ourselves. To an extent that I'll call it, you need the best. Of course, you need the best for yourself. But you forget that other people also need the best for themselves. So because you think as idealists that it should always be about you, you don't care what you do. You can kill, you can abuse, and you can do anything you want as long as you feel peaceful. But that is not how we can move together. And that's when somebody say racism come in, and even now the class issues come in. This is not the way to go. Because even you cannot actually fully explain. It's just that you're becoming ignorant, not even ignorant, openly avoiding to accept that there are other people beyond yourself. Because for you to be who you are, actually, it's other people's contribution to your life to be where you are. But you tend to ignore that. And majority of us have been found in this situation. That you have too much that we even cannot share. We better die with it. That's what Mobutu Sese Seko did to Congo. He amassed everything. That's why African presidents today still amass everything and take to the East. That's what the West is still doing to Africa. Still breastfeeding Africa. They want to breastfeed until there's nothing left for Mother Africa. And they don't even realize that also there are people who are Africans who still need to get some better life for themselves. So they don't care about that. So I wanted to bring it to that context that actually this is just, as I've said, illusion or meditation, because you can never exist alone. You can never. And if you hear that you can, then you first of all wonder, where did you come to be? How did you come to be? And when maybe these people believes in the idea, spirits, and that there's something out there that made him who he is, but even in their so-called creation story, God created so many things in that same creation story. He never created man alone. He, of course, composed the whole universe and made man be part of the universe. Not that man was the universe. There are so many creations that took place all along. Then man became a component of the creation in that their creation theory. So man is just part of the universe. But here is Man thinks like that the universe, everything is about them. And that's what I'm trying to get from this. So this is my thinking. So let me either give it back to Sister Sherin. Sister Sherin?
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
clearly.
So what do we do if we are, or if we have a husband or a wife who is the opposite? So where one is materialist and one is individualist. How do we navigate that if they aren't prepared to move over to the materialist way of understanding because all they know is individualism and it's actually hindering the family, it's hindering the community?
Brother Kwame, I guess you can answer that.
Please don't laugh.
You're
Yeah,
muted, Brother
I
Kwame.
think what Sister Shireen meant to say is that one is a materialist, the other is an idealist. When you put it that way, then you are putting one philosophy by the other philosophy. But individualism in itself is not wrong. You know, it's not that wrong nor right. It's not a right or wrong thing. Because we are all individual. Yeah. Although we are also part of a community, we can't deny our individuality. I can't deny that a sister called Ida exists as an individual. Although right now we have a community of learners here and we are all learning as a community. So I think what you meant to say was that one is a materialist, the other is an individualist, is an idealist. And then within that, how do we negotiate individualism? Because the individualism and materialism recognizes that all individuals are equal. The individualism and idealism, as we have just read, doesn't even recognize that other human beings exist. So that is the problem. So it is the philosophical underpinning of the individualism that is the problem. Now remember that earlier on we looked at the inside-outside thesis, didn't we? And then as we went along, we were asking ourselves, how do we apply the inside-outside thesis? Do we recognize here that in this complete solipsism, there is no outside. There is only me. And I am inside. I am the inside and I am the outside. It is just, I am the only existence. So in this world, everything has collapsed into me. It is as if the universe is inside me. Of course, you will signpost them to the psychologist. Why didn't you just say the psychiatrist, Sister Myra? Because I think that's what the person needs. So the psychiatrist. Because clearly, this individual has gone mad. It's gone mad. And the whole point of this paragraph that we have read, why are we reading this, by the way? What is the point of this paragraph? The point of this paragraph is to tell us that idealism is nonsense. That's the whole point of this paragraph. And the moment Sister Ida took it and ended where she ended, it opened the real issue there, that this person is not well. Anyone who is an idealist is not well, because that person becomes a racist, a misogynist, a child hater, a child molester, and so on and so forth. So if you have a society full of this sort of people, it's chaos. So the whole point of this paragraph is to point out to us that, look, idealism is not a sound philosophical basis for anything useful. Sider can now see why we have to look at this before we now appreciate, as Brother Pigeon was saying, before you appreciate materialism.
Brother Coco Sand is up. I think he's trying also to get something to share. You have to stop your dinner for this. Yes, Brother Coco.
No, thank you. Thank you, brothers and sisters. Today's reading is really interesting. From what I am, from the position I'm reading at, it relates or is an opposite of what we were brought up in Southern Africa or in Africa in general, under the spirit of Ubuntu. Ubuntu says, I am because we are. In that sense, I look at you, I see a reflection of me. I look at another body, I see myself. I look at my sisters, I have empathy, I have compassion, I feel for them. So this is exactly the opposite of that, what we are brought up in, immersed in communalism, where the person is at the heart of everything that we do. In this case, it says the individual is the center of the universe, and that's individualism. It's all about themselves. It's all about what they want, what they know, what they think. They never think about what the other people are thinking. It's the opposite of Ubuntu. I think that is what I struck my mind immediately, that I know this is not what we were brought up to think or feel or believe and see our own people as worthy subjects and worthy of our own lives and reaching our own lives. When we say I am because we are, it's I know I cannot live by myself. I cannot go there and be rich and the whole street, everyone else is poor. So Africans who really embrace Ubuntu, they share everything they have. You find that in a village, if you are the one well off, you help everyone else. And unfortunately, that's why we don't really get to be that rich. If I am rich, I know the whole neighborhood will be rich, the whole village will be rich. Everyone will be like depending on me. But it's how it is in Africa. One child, the eldest one, finishes school, and then he has to help bring up the younger ones. And I think it's the same even in America, where we have seen why poverty persists in America. You find that the one who gets to succeed first, he has to help not only his immediate family, but they are all the other aunts and cousins and everyone. So it's that if you want to impoverish the black people, you just do that. Make sure you limit the number of kids who finish school, and I think that's why they are even challenging Joe Biden's decision to cancel the student debt for those students from the disadvantaged background, because they just want this for themselves. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brother Coco. Yes, it's coming out more of clearly. And Brother Kwame, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, thank you. So I was so as I was saying, let's link this all to while we are reading that paragraph. Let's remember that what we are looking at is the question: is matter primary, or is ideas and spirits primary? That's what we are looking at. And from the reading, we have seen that the idea that ideas or the mind is primary, if you like, is problematic, and for the reasons we have looked at. And so can we begin now to see that imperialism is based on idealism to the extent that imperialists don't see anybody else existing in the universe except the imperialists. And for all the reasons we have mentioned, the imperialists basically is insane. What we have read is talking about insanity. That is what we are reading. And it is the duty of society. If there are insane people in society, It is a duty of society to heal that insanity. And that is why it is our duty to get rid of imperialism in the human experience, because it is insanity, and insanity causes problems. It causes problems not only for the person who is insane, because they are detached from all reality. They don't know what is real anymore. They think they don't even see their own bodies as real. They don't see other people's bodies as real. Nothing is real, except their experience. And what is that experience? The consumption of other people's property, having it all, greed, having it all to themselves. Vampires sucking blood and not even realizing that kind of insanity is not good for anyone. And that's the kind of world we live in. And that is why it is our duty. It is our duty as radical Pan-Africanists to save our continent. And by saving our continent, we also heal the world from imperialism and its insanity. So I hope we are also then seeing the link between philosophy and the African situation. And Sisamara again put it very nicely when she links it to racism, colonialism, neocolonialism. And then Brother Coco reminded us that let's not forget that Ubuntu is based on a philosophy that is not idealism. See? Because you see, Ubuntu, as Brother Coco was saying, is not complete solipsism. It's not. Because it's saying that I am because we are. So it recognizes the existence of other bodies. But complete solipsism doesn't. The only thing that exists is me, 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 me.
Thank you, Brother Kwame, for that.
I can add for now.
Thank you, Brother Kwame, for that. Indeed, as you were sharing this, I realized how do we as a continent maybe interact with the external world, the West? How do you go there? When you go there for bargaining, like the presidents go there for bargaining, the West is always about them. They will have to take everything from Africa, like what they were doing in Niger. They take the uranium from Niger, and actually at time, that's like a peanut. It's like not even a payment. They don't care. But they want to exploit everything for their own interest.
That's why. It is insanity. That's
you see?
Insanity.
When we are having this, I saw when the US was saying that the AGOA agreement is they're going to terminate AGOA for some 3 countries in Africa. Yeah. I asked myself, what is AGOA? They say it's African growth or whatever. When in reality, it's not African growth. It's American Growth and Oppression Act. Because who has gained what out of that? Somebody now today is equating that. The news reporter from Sky's News says that Kenya actually enjoys the fruits of colonialism, and that we are speaking English, and that it's like a luxury to us. So you say that by the fact that we speak English and now we worship the religion they came in, that's a luxury to us. But at what expense? So you could take all our resources, exploit everything else, and think that the best thing you did to us is to speak this English. Is that luxury? A poor person living with no food with the English. Does that really make sense to them? And then when you talk of Brother Kwame, you go back to material condition of our people. To materialists, the material condition of their people is very important. Then it's not the spirits and ideas. They really think of how is our welfare? How is our living condition? What do we eat? Where do we live? But these are the people who want to confuse us to think about the next world out there. How do we worship every morning? How do you say hallelujah? When they rope everything from us, we kneel down and bow and say, Father in heaven, kindly help us here. You see, that is totally robbing from Africa.
It's insanity.
And that's why Kwame says, and what Matigari said, that the world is upside down and we must set it right. It is us to do it, nobody else. So I think I'm trying to get more understanding and more actually direction. I don't think if you can be truly Pan-African if you don't understand these things. because this is where now we have the category of liberals, conservatives, and progressives. I think the progressive or the radicals have actually gone to the deep extent to appreciate materialism and have actually understand what is idealism. And I think Brother Fanka, whom you had the problem with, need to come back and start learning this so that he can be able to appreciate the differences. So if we are having 19 minutes to
you will have to communicate with him privately because as if he's ready to learn, because that gentleman is a die-in-the-wood idealist. Sorry, I don't think he's ready to learn. I mean, we here in this class are here because we want to learn. I mean, Sister Marlene is back here. Sister Marlene swore she didn't want another class, but here she is learning. Isn't that marvelous? You know, and that tells us that there's a spirit and willingness to learn. You know, but when someone thinks they know it all, and you know, they are challenged. They're even challenging the basics, basic ideas. They are challenging you. They're not challenging you because they want to learn. They are challenging you because they think they are right, and you are wrong.
Thank you. I think we are having 18 minutes. I don't know if the paragraph is how thick or how thin, so that we may wrap up.
Yeah, what you should do, let's not read another paragraph. Let's go around and here's everyone's concluding comments on what they've learned today.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for that. And as you've said, I think many people who have read the Consciousism book before will say that I've read it. But what did you learn? Then it depends with who is the teacher. A good teacher produces good students. If you don't have a good teacher, you'll produce bad students. So I think Consciousism as a book is beyond reading. I teach Swahili and somebody will say, give us the book we read. But how do you rush to the next point before you understand the basics? And that's what we teachers actually are taught to do. We build you from that tabula rasa we are talking on, an empty mind, and make you somebody who can have some ideas and be able to understand. But you want to read the book, then you'll tell me, I've read Consciousism, but you able to differentiate the difference between idealism and actually materialism? You can't do that. So as we go to the last part, I'll ask members around, can you contextualize whatever we've read today in the current affairs in Africa, and what will be your proposed solution out? As Sister Sharon said, what do we do when you have an idealist and materialist together? And I don't think they can merge. It's like darkness and lightness, unless something happens. So let's go around. Let me start with the Sister Marlene. We are coming to the end of the class. Hope we will not pass. Kindly share something.
Well, it was interesting in listening to what everybody said. And I haven't been for a few weeks. So, yeah, a lot of it, I think it all boils down to is one race, unfortunately, believing they're better than another race, and greed. And if we can eliminate both things with that is consumed with matter and what's the other word? And
idealism.
No.
We use different words.
Idealism? We use matter. We're always talking about matter, and we talk about
materialism and
yeah,
idealism. Those are the two opposing philosophies.
So
is that what you want?
Yeah. Probably, yeah. So if we can use those and deal with the complex way of our life has developed and changed it from its natural way that Africa had it before, with, wanting to deal with material things more than human being happiness, really, and
so Sister Marlene, just to help you, so you're saying that we should return to our human values, the kind of Ubuntu that Brother Coco talked about, where the African takes care of the African, and we take care of ourselves. Yeah, and then we use our resources to better our material existence. Yeah, that's what you are trying to say.
Yeah, absolutely. And all that has been thrown away because of the Western,
Because of the idea, because of idealism. That's what you want.
Exactly, yeah. The Western idealism with
idealism, yes.
Yeah, being consumed with material stuff than, human beings, because even what's going on now in the war, that's another horrible situation because of we just don't want to share. We've got a small piece of land, we need to share it with each other because there's two groups there, and this Western system just does not seem to be working to make the world a happier place. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Sister Marlene. Sister Ida?
I think that what I've learned today is that there seem to be two types of everything. And even when you break it down, there are two types, and that in idealism there's two types: the one that believes just in spirits and ideas, and there's a second type that believes in both spirit ideas but also believes in materialism. And then in
solipsism.
Sorry, say it again, please.
Solipsism.
A solipsism. Okay. Schism. Okay. That there are two types of that as well. Except I spelt that wrong. My first type, which
complete
it says halfway.
Incipient, yeah.
Incipient, that's the word, but
Incipient,
I can't spell it right. Yes, and then complete. Only me exists. So incipient is halfway, and then the complete was only me exists. And that out of that, the complete goes to being totally just about themselves and totally out of line with anything. They just think about themselves and they go mad. It's a road to insanity. Yes, okay. Detached from reality is what I've put down. So so it looks like everything has, there's always a one road that leads to total absolute, out of line, and then another road that is a bit halfway and will bring in a few ideas with it. So I've found out that all that is on the idealism spectrum, and that it is a big problem, and it's where all the racists, I hate to think that the conservatives are just total racists, but the racists, the conservatives, the liberals are all on that line or that spectrum, is what we've been saying today. And then the materialists are on a different spectrum, which would be the opposite to
Thank
idealism.
you for that.
Okay.
Can I just say something before Chair? So
yes.
If Sir Ida will remember, who voted against Rishi Sunak, and then in the end Rishi Sunak became Prime Minister? Which party should have chosen Rishi Sunak? And then they'll say, "Oh no, we are not racists. No, we are not racist." But who, when they had to choose a white girl and a brown boy, who did they choose?
Well, because the white girl was so out of.
Chair, back to you.
It is weird.
Thank you for that. Let me go to, and I have to appreciate the sisters in the house. In fact, the number of sisters in the house is now outnumbering the numbers of gents in the house, and this is a very good show. Sister Ada and Sister Marlene has been here for a while, and they've gotten our company. Thank you, sisters, for turning up, and we hope we will have a sisters conference that will be very successful. Let me go to Sister Myra.
So I will just go for what Sister Sharon said about how our identities and our knowledges and we were stripped of that, and now we don't even know who we are, and we're very confused. And this philosophy of solipsism is individualistic, and it's contrary to our African nature of communalism and togetherness. And for me, I think a solution would be education, to start teaching our philosophies in schools from a young age, and to take control of our education, because even that is controlled by the World Banks and the IMFs of this world, they, with their policies. I found that out from the research I was doing. And I think that also the education part, I believe, is one thing that this group as CSG can advocate for. And I have a vision of us as a group, as a Pan-Africanist group, putting together a syllabus that will one day present to African governments that are hopefully amicable to our ideas of Pan-Africanism, so we can influence young minds and radicalize education so that it is more localized to the African personality as it is now in the modern age, and to our problems, and so that we can find our own solutions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sister Myra, for that. Of course, as CAGs, we've taken some serious lead in regards to this. I know we are doing education research. All of us can understand that you're doing our education research, which you're part of. And in our, of course, forthcoming or proposed conference, based on our discussion on last Saturday, the idea of having a Pan-African education curriculum is very vital. And probably we CSG might be able to spearhead this and maybe produce a template for that proposed curriculum, because actually we need to have it. And that's the base. And this chapter or consciousness should be part of that curriculum, because if they don't understand this chapter, they'll be exposed, as Nkrumah said before, that the colonial students were exposed to various philosophy and whatever. And out of those philosophy, they became liberal, conservatives, but there are some who seek knowledge for emancipation and liberation. And those are the radicals like us here. So I think that will be very important. It's something you're thinking about. And thank you for that. Sister Sharon, before I go to the gents, your parting remarks, your thinking, and maybe your recommendation.
I think this class has had me the most perplexed in a very long time. So appreciation for everyone's contribution. We're always learning, and we always have to be open to learn. I don't really have much to contribute to this last part. I'm just going to listen in on what anybody else says. Thank you, Brother.
Thank you. We do appreciate your contribution before.
Thank you.
They were actually helpful for us. Brother Coco, because you interjected or you made a pause for your dinner, can you make a pause again for her closing remark?
Thanks, brother. I can never leave that opportunity. What I want to say here is simple. They say travel broadens the mind. By travel broadens the mind, it means I don't think my mom is the best cook. That's what they say. The man who doesn't travel enough thinks his mother is the best cook. What I'm reading here again is, if we are who we are, we need to think about others. We need to think what others are think. We need to take their views, their thoughts into perspective whenever we do anything. I did a session not long ago on Pan-Africanism, history of Pan-Africanism for something on work. And what I came up with was staggering. Most of the earlier Pan-Africans in the West, they wanted to come to Africa because they wanted to educate Africans. They wanted to civilize the Africans. You see, that's where the problem is. They think the Africans were uncivilized. The Africans needed the saving. The Africans did not need any saving. The Africans needed to be left alone. But importantly, the Africans need to be proud of who they are. They need to know that they have it all. They just need to actually be reminded who they are. We are the children of the sun. Is that important? And we are there because we are important. But unfortunately, getting a colonial education has tended to make the Africans think they are inferior to anyone. I think Sister Sherin just said there, I'm not going to listen to anyone. I'm just going to sit here. But she made a biggest contribution of all of us that we all learn from one another. Travel broadens the mind, but I might go bored in my language. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brother Coco, for that. Brother Raspala, before I give my resolution, then Brother Kwame will also share his last thinking. Brother Raspala, I know you've been on and off.
Yeah, my brother, everything of South Africa is a problem, man. Yes, my lord, me, I don't have a remark because you guys have already said enough and it's already nice. Me, I just want to ask you, my brother, what is that king of Britain doing in Kenya? Because I saw on the news. That's what I want to ask you, my brother.
Thank you for that. Let's meet on Saturday on our African conversation. I'll be able to share much of the king's story in Kenya on Saturday.
Okay, thanks. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So as I share my last remark is that indeed it's like I was green, but I was speaking Pan-Africanism. And it seems majority of those who shout Pan-Africanism are also green like myself. And they cannot be able to actually explain these issues when they are faced with them. They cannot be able to take position either idealism or materialism when they're faced with such position because they are green. And either we must also ask ourselves whether do you have majority liberal Pan-Africans or conservative Pan-Africans? And I believe probably 90% will be liberal or conservative based on this understanding. So I want to appreciate all of us who have come today. And actually, we are all learning. Here we don't have a teacher. We all learn as we make and build our thinking, and we will perfect on this. So thank you very much for your attendance, and I do really appreciate your presence. Brother Kwame?
Yeah, no, thank you very much for your sharing. Because when you share, then I'm able to speak more. So that also helps. Thank you all very much for coming. Can I just comment that Sister Myra's contribution on philosophical education is the second I've heard this week. The first from Sister Shola, who is not here today. So she contacted me during the week and she made some proposals similar to what Sister Mara has just said. And the proposal is that, and I think it's been mentioned, we look at a curriculum and also to get in touch with all the philosophy departments on the continent and propose that we partner with them and get amongst them students who can pursue conscientism as a study. So that's something that we will need to look at. So thank you for mentioning it, Sister Myra. Sister Shireen, when you say that the class is kept you perplexed, what did you have in mind?
No, it was in a positive way because then we gained clarity, especially from what Sister Ida said and our other comrades. But I have clarity now in regards to the materialism and the individualism, isn't it? Is it the individualism or the yeah, so I have that
Yeah, the
clarity, but
individualism.
before, yeah, I'm saying
Right.
because of our miseducation, I was perplexed before, but through discussion, and that's why it's really important to come to classes like this to get a shared and collective understanding. because
Right.
we are not alone.
Right. Right. So you are saying, that before you saw individualism as only from the idealist perspective as something bad, but now you understand it to mean that a materialist also shares in individualism, but also uh, uh, understands that other individuals exist and they are all equal, whereas the idealist in the individualist only sees himself and nobody else. So that idealism itself is neither good nor bad. It's like a knife. It can be used to cut cake. It can be used to kill. It depends on who is using it. So, okay. So, yeah. So that's what you mean by positive perplexation, if you like. Excellent.
Yes.
All I can do is to thank everyone for coming. Yeah, thank you all for coming. Thank you all for sharing. As Brother Pigeon said, really, we are all teachers here. You know, we help each other. We hold each other's hands. We help each other to construct ideas, to think through things. We are patient with one another. We care for one another, and so on. So, and that is what this class is about. You know, it's a safe space for us to think, sometimes to think the unthinkable, you know, and so on. So thank you all for coming. And as usual, this will go on YouTube, and others can share in it. So thank you all for coming. The time is now 2 minutes past 9. We are 2 minutes over our time. But I think because we started on time today, in fact, we think we started on time, I think we had a lot of discussion, which is what happens when we start on time. So thank you all for coming, and we'll see you on Saturday, where